Hey guys, it's Taylor from Kinpatsu Cosplay here, and welcome to part 4 of our KDA series. In this video, we're going to show you guys how to make these weapons for KDA Akali. I also just want to take a second to thank Eric. Eric has been the one that's been modeling and creating our patterns and creating all these videos. So none of this would have been possible without Eric, and hopefully we'll see him in some future videos. Isn't that right, Eric? If you guys enjoy these video tutorials and find them helpful, please don't forget to share them with your friends. And if you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe to our videos. Of course, thanks to Riot Games for sponsoring these videos. Now, let's get to building. You can download our free pattern for the Akali weapon at kinpatsukosplay.com. Let's first start by building the kama. Trace the patterns onto 5mm EVA foam. Then you can cut out the pieces with a craft knife. Most of the pieces will need to be cut at an angle. We have marked these angles on our pattern. For angles marked 45 degrees, you will cut into the foam at a 45-degree angle. This will form a bottom bevel. For angles marked minus 45 degrees, you will need to cut away from the foam edge at a 45-degree angle. This will form a top bevel. Make sure you keep your knife nice and sharp while cutting out the pieces. Once your pieces are cut out, you can start to construct the weapon. Lay out your pieces for sections A and B. Apply contact adhesive to all the edges that you will be joining. Glue together the 3 pieces that form section A on the pattern. Then you can glue together all the pieces for section B. And finally, you can glue section A and B together. You can then glue together the pieces of section C that form the blade. For some of the edges, a 45-degree cut may not be enough to form the right angle. For these edges, you'll need a rotary tool. Sand down the edges so that they are flat where they need to join. In this case, it's the inner curve of the kama. Then you can glue in the last piece and it will form a nice sharp angle when glued together. Once you have finished constructing section C, you can then glue section A and B around the top edge. The weapon is now starting to take shape. Once you finish putting together one half, you will need to mirror the pattern and repeat this for the other half. For the handle of the blade, you will need 25mm PVC pipe. Heat the top of the pipe with a heat gun and then bend it in the direction of the blade. This will add a bit more support. You can then glue your PVC pipe into place. Once the pipe is in place, you can glue the 2 halves of the weapon together over the pipe. The top piece of the kama is now done. Next, you'll need to make your pommel and handle. Measure how long you need your PVC pipe to be with your pattern. Then cut off the excess with a PVC pipe cutter. Cut out the pieces for the pommel and glue them together with contact adhesive. Then you can glue these 2 halves together. You can now cut out the 2 pieces for the handle section and glue them together at the sides. Glue the pommel to the end of the handle. Then you can slide the handle up the pipe and glue it in place. As a final detail, you can glue on some EVA foam triangle edges. Now the kama construction is done. Next, we're going to make the kunai. You will also need to cut out your base shape for the blade from a piece of 2mm PVC foam board. This will give the pointy blade stability. You can then cut out your pieces for the blade section from 5mm EVA foam. Glue together the pieces for the blade, matching up all the edges until you get your final shape. Then sand the underside of the foam blade so that it lays flat against the PVC foam board. Now you can glue it into place on the board, carefully lining up the edges. You will need to repeat this process for the other side of the blade. If you have any overlap from your blade, you can trim away the excess and neaten it up with the rotary tool. For the handle of the blade, use your pattern to measure how long you will need your PVC pipe to be. Then cut it to length with a pipe cutter. You can then heat up the pipe with a heat gun and press it flat. The pipe will be hot, so you may need to use a mat or a box to press it down. Cut out a space in the board for the pipe to fit into and glue it into place with hot glue. To create the tiny diamonds, cut out the pieces from 2mm high density foam. Then glue the pieces together. You will also need to cut out the guard pieces from the same 2mm EVA foam. Connect the pieces to form each side of the guard. Then you can glue them together in the center. Now you can cut your handle piece from 5mm EVA foam and glue them together at the edges. You can also cut out the pommel pieces from 5mm foam and glue them together as well. Now to assemble the pieces. Glue your guard piece onto your base. Then you can glue the gem in the center. Take your handle piece and slide it over the pipe, gluing it in place. After that, you can glue the pommel onto the end. The final detail is to glue on some 2mm edges around the handle. Now your kunai is also completely constructed. You will then need to prime your foam pieces. For this we used PVA glue. Paint on a few layers of glue, letting them dry in between. When you're finished, the pieces should be smooth and shiny. We also sprayed on a layer of foam primer from Krylon to get rid of any further brush strokes and also to act as a light base color. Now for the paint. To paint the kama, start by spraying on a bright blue base coat for the blade. We used our Createx airbrush paints and our airbrush to do this, but you can also do it with acrylic paint by hand. Then you will need to mask off your blue triangles on the blade with tape. Now you can spray on a coat of fluorescent pink and purple paint to color the triangles. Mask off the whole blade, then you can spray the top section with a pearly purple and blue paint. You can also add in some darker shadows with black paint for more dimension and depth. And finally, you can spray your edging with a chrome paint. Carefully peel off the tape to reveal your work. After we removed the tape, I went back and added in a few more shadows and highlights with the airbrush. You can also add some more highlights by hand with a paintbrush. The last thing you need to do is seal everything with a clear gloss coat to protect your paintwork. For the kunai, the process is similar. Spray on your base layer of blue paint. You can then mask off the blue sections and spray over a fluorescent purple for the triangle shapes. Paint the gem in the center and the pommel silver. Again, you can add some more highlights afterwards. After you finish painting, you can wrap both the handles in black faux leather straps. As a final detail, you can cover the gem in shiny adhesive vinyl. And now your KDA Akali weapons are done.